Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending the place you are, located around this big world. Welcome to a new episode of Café with Cabana, in Spanish, a Café with Cabana, the same thing. So I came here, to Boulder, Colorado, in the U.S., to talk with my friend Stacey Aviva Flint. So how are you? You're mute. So
I'm doing well.
okay, welcome to the show. And today we will have a great topic to talk about, and I will call it, if in some way, embracing Jewish multiculturalism, and it's a journey of identity, inclusion, and action. And may I call you Stacy Aviva? Aviva?
Stacy Aviva would be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that will be great. Thank you. Stacy Aviva, what does it mean to build a truly inclusive and representative Jewish community?
I think that to be a inclusive and representative Jewish community, first of all, means to be Jewish. To really appreciate our deep Jewish identity and how we have been a multicultural, multi-ethnic community for thousands of years. And that, in the words of Rav Kook, our diversity is our strength. I love, there's one saying in the Talmud that I love, and it says that when you see a group of Jews and all of their faces are different, and they look different, that we should bless Hashem. Because it is a blessing from Hashem that all of us think differently, all of us look differently, and that way we get a chance to bring our own uniqueness to Klal Yisrael. And so I think that when we are all realizing that that's our responsibility and that's the joy of being Jewish, then it doesn't matter if you're Bukhari or a convert or Russian Jew or Ethiopian Jew or Ashkenazi. You realize, wow, I'm a Jew and I have something special to give to this amazing community. And then when we are taught in our schools, in our yeshivot, about all of our diversity, and we can all appreciate one another's diversity, then we're looking at one another and being able to say that blessing. Baruch Hashem. Here is another Yehudi, another Jew who looks different than me, thinks different than me, but we're all doing the same work.
And it's so nice, this introduction, because it's so important to, and it's true. I have been doing this podcast all around the world with different I would say type of Jews, because they all think different. As you mentioned, Ashkenazis, Sephardics, people in Israel, people in the US, even though West Coast, East Coast, people in South America, in Europe, and we all think different. But you have a special thing. Your conversion to Judaism was not just a personal milestone. You committed to a faith, to our people, and also we are sharing now a common future. How can you tell us, as a Black Jewish woman, how you have navigated the intersection of faith, culture, and community, looking for spaces where all these aspects of your identity are fully embraced?
And I think that's when it comes back to us as individuals. We have to be truly grounded in who we are and truly grounded in our identity as children of God. And for me, the most important thing for me, I went on a journey to find Hashem when I was 7 years old. I didn't grow up with any faith tradition. And so for me, the most important thing was for me to find Hashem. was to be immersed in the Torah, in the Bible, and looking for communities that were representative of what I saw in the scriptures. So I wasn't so much looking for who would accept me, or does this one feel right, or does this one? My blueprint was the Bible, was Torah, and so I made sure that I was well grounded in that, because for me, that's what I needed to be grounded in, so that where any place that I go, I know that I can contribute what Hashem has allowed me to absorb. And so when I come, you take all of me. I'm not going to stop being a Black person or a multicultural person, and I'm not going to stop being Jewish, and I'm not going to stop loving Torah. And I believe that when we see that commonality, that's what's really important. What are the Jewish values that should be guiding any community? They should be Jewish values. And so many times we look for the values of the world to incorporate and go, okay, how are we being inclusive? Okay, that's a beautiful, idea. But in Judaism, where are our Jewish words and our Jewish values? B'Tselem Elohim. We are all made in the image of the divine. And so is that being represented in a community? Are we all seeing one another in that way? Kavod ha'adam, are we seeing the dignity of each human being? Or do you come into a space and it's like, oh, well, everybody here is like this, so you have to be the same and change yourself to fit in? A place that's really being devoted to true Torah and true community is going to say, hey, this is who we are, but what can you add to this? And how can you be your best self in this community? What can we learn from one another to build up the community? And I think we really need to be deep in our Jewish values. And sometimes we're looking to the world to tell us kind of, oh, well, this is how we do it. No, we know exactly how to do it. We've been doing this for thousands of years with different, tribes and, we've been squabbling for years, and that's okay. But actually we know how to do it and come out on the other end. Okay.
Yeah, we know how to do it. That's true. I mean, many years in this same path doing, what we're doing. But you work as a urban planner, right?
My original background is urban planning and Jewish studies. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm talking about this feature. How do you contribute to combating racism and antisemitism, ensuring that all voices are going to be heard, and in order to shape a just society?
Thank you. That is a really important question. And that leads me to one of the values that I really hold deeply. Something that Rabbi Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory said was that if you want to change anyone's behavior, you first of all have to understand their mindset, and then say the words or do the deeds that speak to their emotions, not yours. And I believe that with that, the only way that we understand how other people feel and what other people need is to ask them questions. We need to be not afraid to actually ask someone what they think. And then upon hearing that, be able to engage with that. Because too many times we're engaging with what we think people think or feel. Oh, you're a Black person, so you must think this way or feel this way. Oh, you're you're Ashkenazi, so you must think or feel this way. No. How many of us are actually sitting down and actually having coffee with one another, actually talking to one another and saying, you know what? How do you feel about the state of our community right now? And that was one of the important things that I did when I was an urban planner that I learned, was to go into a community and not look around and go, oh, you need this, you need a store, you need a school, you need these apartments. But you sit people down and you go, here's your community. What's your vision? What would you like this community to look like in 5 or 10 years? And then as an urban planner, you take that and go, okay, this is what you told me. This is now what I've put down for you. You said you want your park here. You say you want your sidewalks to go this way. And then ask them, is this the vision? Did I get it right? And then if not, be humble enough to go back and go, oh, okay, I didn't get it right here. Let me move this here. Let me adjust this here, so that we're in relationship with one another, where we're co-creating a vision of the future together. No one's just telling us, oh, this is the road we're on. This is how we've got to do it. And let's all fall in line. No, that's a dictatorship. A community is where we actually want to know what each other think and feel. And then based on that, we're actually willing to adjust, move the road, widen the road, because we've actually heard what one another needs and feels.
So it's a good topic. It's a good thing. All of us, you need to ask questions always in order to have, the answer, and then you come back with your plan and be humble. And also, if they don't like it or there's some kind of a disagreement, you need to go back, make another plan, and present that one. It's amazing because in these days, people don't like to listen a lot and don't like to make questions. So I think it's kind of a difficult work to sit down and go to one place and say, yeah, I'm here to listen. I might guess that people say, I mean, this lady's coming here to listen. Mm-hmm. And this is a humble idea. When you listen, you are being very humble. And then what is the experience when you go to the communities and say, I'm here to listen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that when you let a community know that you know something about them, and you're asking questions that are informed by at least a little bit of knowledge, you're showing the person that not only are you there to listen, but you've actually done your homework so that you can engage with them on a level of not just, oh, I'm here to listen, pour into me, educate me. It's like, here, this is something that I know. Have I gotten it right? Can you expand on that a little bit? And I think that we've got to be able to do our own homework so that when we ask those questions, we're showing that we've invested some time. And I think that one of the questions that sometimes I can often get is, I think people are well-meaning, but perhaps a little lazy. And they'll ask me questions like, oh, what is it like to be a Black Jew? And something that I call, if you know about me, I have this framework called perspective honoring.
Yes.
And
I want to talk about this one.
Oh, cool.
This is very important.
Yes. So in perspective honoring, it's a combination of the question formulation technique, which comes out of the Right Question Institute, and also a dignity framework coming from Dr. Donna Higgs, people of that nature. But when you're asking questions that are imbued with dignity, with respect for a person, showing appreciation, validation, acceptance, and treating them fairly, when you ask them a question, you're coming from a place of your own dignity and for their dignity. And so when someone asks me that question, it treats me unfairly. It's like, oh, you're this strange unicorn that's never existed before. And I don't feel validated, because it's like, oh, a Black Jew. I would rather someone ask me, as a person who has Black heritage, as a Jew, first of all, a Jew who has a Black heritage, what wisdom would you like to share with the community to help us be in community with a diversity of Jews? In that question, it opens up a relationship right there that I want to answer that question. I see that person is treating me fairly. First of all, they're treating me as any other Jew, because you could ask that question to anyone, any person, any Jew. They're accepting that, oh, this person has some wisdom that they want to and can share. They're validating me as a Jew. as a person, as a human being. And so with that question right there, it opens up an avenue for a relationship, because I no longer feel like I've got to speak for all Black people, that I have to speak for all Black Jews, that I'm this special thing and that I'm unique. It's opening up a relationship in a question. And that is something that, again, I learned from Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. He says it in his class, The Art of Asking Questions, that when we are asking questions, we should be asking questions that seek to not invalidate someone or even their perspective, but it's seeking to validate them. And you can show that with embedded in a very short question. You open up someone's heart to say, wow, I actually want to be in a relationship with someone who can ask me a question that totally disarms me and makes me feel like I'm truly made, B'Tselem Elohim, truly made in the image of God.
Wow, I'm amazed. Let me go to another one because this is amazing. Without this perspective in honoring framework, I know you are, approaching and making impact in interfaith discussions, and also you are kind of making really good constructive and strength relationships with other faiths. Also, you are doing efforts with other communities. How is that work being done and being performed in a daily basis?
Mm. Well, I think it's really important to, when we're doing this work, to invest in relationships with a few people. And I've really invested in a relationship with a Black pastor here in the area, and as well as a rabbi who happens to come from a multicultural Afro-Asiatic background, and really built relationships with them and gotten to know them, so that they are now willing to bring in their networks of people into conversation with one another. And a lot of times we try to go into communities and well-meaning and go, oh, let me just call everybody together. Here's a flyer, here's an invitation. But sometimes it takes months and maybe even years of building relationships with a few people and saying, okay, are you willing to now open up your phone book? Who can we bring into now our relationship that we've built? So build strong, build small, and then rely on your friends to bring in their friends. Because I can't do it by myself. No one can do it by themselves. But I think that when we start building these relationships and we bring in our circle of friends, you keep widening that circle of friends built on trust, we can do it. But a lot of people want to start grand and big and make these big announcements and have these big programs. Where's the small, like what we're doing? Sitting down and having coffee.
Small is the key. And then from small, you start growing and growing and growing, and you make step, and you make another step, and you make another step. And with all these steps, you go to the end of the journey, which is representation matters. And let me go into this one. Representation matters. I know you also work with other organizations supporting Black Orthodox Jews and other Jewish communities. Can we go into that detail, because it's so important? Remember that we are approaching the whole world, and this is true. So your experience on doing this kind of tasks is very important to let all the audience know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, our Jewish community is very diverse. You can find Black Jews in every spectrum of Judaism, and the community that I'm a part of, the Orthodox world, is very special to me, and it's very special because many times we're bringing our children, and our children are our future. And it's important that our children feel enriched, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel like every other Yid when they go to school. And too many times I'll get calls from my Orthodox brothers and sisters, my children are adults now, where their children are hurt, where their children are really deeply wounded in their Jewish identities, in places where they should be having the times of their lives. When you're going to yeshiva or you're going to a Jewish day school, those should be places where you're being taught to love who you are as a Jew and love who you are as a person. And so our Jewish educators in those spaces need to understand our families, and they need to be able to teach that we're not these strange people on the sides. We have histories. We have contributions that we have and are making to the community. And those things need to be embedded into our day school educations, our yeshiva educations, so that we can feel proud of having a Black heritage. And we should be very proud of being Jews, because at the end of the day, when it's not, those who want to be anti-Semitic will weaponize the weaknesses that they find in our Jewish community when we're not having that Havat Israel, we're not having that love for one another. They'll use it and weaponize it against us for anti-Semitism. And we can't let that happen.
No. Time is flying, and we have talked too many different things and too many specific issues also as well. Looking forward, that's an important thing. Looking forward, a vision for Jewish multiculturalism, and how do you see this in the future?
I see in the future our Jewish communities will really be digging into our strength as who we are as a Jewish community. That when we describe ourselves, we will be describing ourselves as this beautiful mosaic of people. We'll be describing ourselves in our literature, in our education, in our media. You will be seeing you and me and all of us, so that when someone says, describe to me a Jew, they will start describing us by our values. They'll be describing us by how we care for one another, how we care for the world, not just what we look like on the outside. And then they'll also be saying, and a Jew can look like and be from any culture and from any place, in any ethnicity. I think in the future, people really will be able to tell who we are as Jews, not by what we look like, but how we're showing up in the world, deeply committed to being loving one another, and also to loving humanity.
There's a lot of hope in this message, right?
We should be a hopeful people. We've survived thousands of years. There's hope.
And we will survive another 1,000 years more in the future. So, guys, I want to make a little summary. Listen, because it's important. Make small steps in order to get to the final point. And also, HOPE, hope. It's important to have hope for the future. Stacy Aviva, a great guest today in Coffee with Kavanah. And guys, my people listening all over the world, this is another chapter of One Coffee with Kavanah. Nice, but we're having more and more. So we invite you to join to the other episode of Coffee with Kavanah. And Stacy Aviva, thank you very much for coming here to this Coffee with Kavanah. And goodbye now.
Bye. Talk to you soon.